Good morning, Mr. Mann.
Hey, Bethany.
Ooh, did you sleep well?
I did.
Good. To be honest, I didn't really. You seem more chipper than me this morning.
Oh, man. It's been such a fun morning.
Really?
Yes. Oh, did I tell you about my bird?
I didn't know you had a bird.
I got a bird. His name's
Really?
Gary. He's a
Gary.
parakeet. Yeah. He's so funny.
Really?
I don't think most people don't realize that birds have such a big personality.
No,
But,
yeah.
oh, man, he's so funny. And so somebody told me that birds really like caramels.
Really?
So, yeah, I've been feeding him caramels.
Aw.
And he gets like all sugared up. And
Yeah.
like this morning, like I came out and he's usually singing and like I didn't hear him. And I was like, oh, what's going on? And like he was passed out. It was so
Really?
fun. Yeah, just laying in the bottom of the cage.
Sleeping?
Yeah, like just laying there stiff as a board. And I was like tapping on the cage trying to get him awake, but he's out of it.
Laying there?
Yeah, like, oh, I love him. I'm so glad I have him.
Well, did you pick him up and stuff?
No, I was petting him and like he didn't move. Like he just totally out of it.
Are you sure he's okay? I'd be worried he wasn't okay if he's laying there.
But
I mean,
I'm not sure. Like he may not be sleeping because it would totally be like him to just like fake it, you know?
Really?
Like just like teasing me. Because he's like that, you know, like.
Really?
Have you ever had a bird like that?
No, well, I've never had a bird, but that's just really weird for a bird to do.
He's so funny. Like, I can't wait to get home and play with him. You're listening to the Josh Mann Podcast, featuring director extraordinaire, Josh Mann. Once again, we want to welcome our listeners to the Josh Mann Podcast. I am director extraordinaire, Josh Mann.
And I am producer, Bethany Shiplap.
And we are thankful that you would join us once again to learn more about filmmaking so that you can go out and become a master filmmaker like myself.
And the really cool thing about this podcast is we try to cover topics from every angle, from the perspective of an actor, of a director, of a producer, just all parts of the movie making process.
That is absolutely correct, Bethany. Every once in a while you say something that makes sense. In fact, today we are going to tackle a subject from the perception of the screenwriter. For those of you who may not know, the screenwriter is the one who writes what is on the screen. That is why they're called a screenwriter. And so they write, and then it shows up on a screen someday when the movie is made. So we're going to talk about 3 common mistakes that screenwriters often make. So as you are working on your own screenplay, you can try to avoid making these mistakes that so many others have made in the past.
Okay, I'm ready for this.
All right, The first one is this. Screenwriters often spend too much time working on spelling, grammar, and formatting, when really what they need to do is just write.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that too, because I mean, there's always like a rough draft stage, and then you move to like review stage, and
I think that's another mistake, is writing multiple drafts. Like I think you just write it.
Oh, really?
And then you get to the end and you close it and you move on to the next one.
Oh.
And then like that way, you send it in, people read it. If there is a mistake, like a grammatical mistake or maybe a spelling mistake, and someone in Hollywood reads it, they're going to know what you're trying to say anyway. So they'll just read right through that and everything will be okay. All good screenplays are riddled with poor grammar, poor spelling, and oftentimes the formatting is horrible. But that's what makes a good screenplay.
Oh, I didn't know that. When you watch a movie and it's actually made, you just assume that the script has been reviewed.
Oh,
and
no.
Revisions have been made.
Not the good ones. Okay, the second tip is this. Don't create too much conflict for your main character. I've seen movies where there's enough conflict that it makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to watch.
Yeah,
and
I've seen movies like that.
I just like happy movies. Like almost every movie I've ever watched has a moment where I'm like, I don't like this. And you don't want to create I don't like this moments for your audience.
I mean, I've heard that like every good story has to have like, conflict to like progress the story, make it worth telling.
Where did you hear that?
I just took like an acting class in like high school, but it kind of made sense because Like every story has like a bad guy.
Have you ever seen the movie 127 Hours?
Oh yeah, talk about a serious movie.
I
But
had
really
a hard
good.
time watching that. I was so
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, there was a couple scenes.
And like I was thinking, how would I make it different? And if it were me, I would have just written it so where the guy goes on a hike and he climbs a mountain, then he comes home and he tells everybody about his trip and he shows pictures and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that was a true story.
What was?
The movie was based on a true story. That really happened.
Was?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Mr. Mann.
So like he's still
happened.
walking around with just one arm?
Yeah. Well, the real
Like,
man. Yeah.
Do you think his
Yeah, that
arm's still
happened.
stuck there in a rock and is like somebody's going to come across it someday and it's just like this
Gosh.
rotting arm?
Well, by now it's
That
probably
is horrible.
a bone.
Like that makes the movie even worse.
Oh.
It was already bad enough.
Yeah, it was a true story.
But
It's
I've seen the guy
very
in other
serious.
movies and he's got 2 arms.
Oh,
Were they made
well,
before that?
No, that was just an actor portrayal of
But you
a
said
true
it was
story.
a true story.
Yeah, like the story, the movie was based on. So the actor still has 2 arms, and that wasn't
So he still
real.
has 2 arms. That part's
Yes.
not real.
Well, the real life guy only has the 1 arm. That really happened.
You just
to
said
him.
he had both arms.
Well, who is James Franco is the guy, the actor.
But he cut one off and now he only has
No.
2 arms.
No,
So he had 3 arms?
No.
Oh
no,
my
no, 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 no.
gosh.
Oh, Mr. Mann.
This is a terrible movie. Let's stop
This
talking
is
about
a
this.
misunderstanding.
Ugh.
Oh
Where
wow,
was the 3rd arm even located? That's so
not
weird.
right. And we'll
Okay.
watch it together sometime.
I'm gonna
or
get
something.
sick, I think.
Oh,
Let's just move on to the 3rd point.
next tip. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk about that later.
This kind of connects with point number 1 a little bit, but don't proofread your script once you've completed it. You might want to, like as you're writing or when you've finished your script, you might want to go back and read it. But my advice is that you don't, that you just finish it and move on, because here's what happens. You might read it and you think, oh, I want to change something. Or, oh, I want to emphasize this part more. Or maybe I need to fill in the blanks here because this part's confusing. And what you do in doing that is you completely ruin the nature of the script. Because see, as writers, we write, so much of what we write is done by mitosis. And we don't want to remove the mitosin.
Do you mean like just the raw organic?
It's this science that happens in our heads when we're writing. It's like this. Maybe it's myopsis. It's all these things that happens. It's very technical. You wouldn't understand. But
so just go with your gut, I guess.
yes, and
without
so don't
all those words.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't second guess yourself because it's natural chemistry and stuff that happens in our brains.
Okay, well that's it. The 3 tips, huh?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, and on that note, it's sponsor time.
That's right.
Today's episode is sponsored by Jody's Goat Rentals. Jody has goats for every occasion: goat yoga, birthday parties, emotional support, and land clearing. You can even try goat milking. With over 48 goats to choose from, you can have a goat for almost anything. Right now, Daisy, Cletus, and Clyde are 50% off. So call Jody for goat rental today. Well, thank you, Jody from Jody's Goat Rentals, for sponsoring the podcast today.
Well, we want to thank our sponsors today for sponsoring the Josh Mann podcast. And I want to say that I have actually used Jody's Goat Rentals before myself.
Wow, really?
Yes, I was so excited to see
heard of
them
that.
as our sponsor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an old mattress I need to get rid of, and somebody said goats will eat anything.
Oh.
So I got a goat for about 24 hours, and sure enough, mattress was gone.
Sure enough.
Yep.
That is wild. You
Yeah.
really can use a goat for anything, huh?
Very handy.
Very handy goat. Well, thank you, Jody, huh?
So if you out there have a goat rental business or any other type of business that you'd like to promote here on the Josh Mann podcast, contact us. And Bethany, let our listeners know how to contact us.
Well, you can call us. Our number is 347-766-5225. or you can email us at joshmangenius@gmail.com. Or you can even find us on Facebook. Send us a Facebook message. Just the Josh Mann Podcast. Really easy to find. And you can look us up on YouTube as well. Leave us some comments on our episodes.
So we're practically everywhere you go on the internet. All you have to do is search for me and you will find us and you can contact us. And we would be more than happy to take your money in exchange for promoting your business.
We're happy to do it.
Well, Bethany, another podcast in the can.
In the can.
And so you'll be around tomorrow, and I'll bring Gary in, and you get to meet him, and it'll be fun.
It'll be an interesting morning.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week on the Josh Mann Podcast. You've been listening to the Josh Mann Podcast, featuring Director Extraordinaire Josh Mann.